The last signal. The galaxy was quiet that night. On the edge of deep space near the outer rim, the Nova 13 listening station floated silently. Inside, only 3 crew members worked the night shift. It was routine, boring. Nothing ever happened, out here. Then at 0217 Galactic time, something changed. A sharp sound echoed through the control room, a distress signal. Old, broken, and full of static. Technician Mira looked up, confused. "We haven't picked up a signal in months," she said. Lieutenant Kale leaned over her shoulder. "Is it from a cargo ship?" Mira shook her head. "No. Wait, this code is military. Draconian Fleet." Kyle's eyes widened. "That can't be right. The Draconian Fleet is the most powerful in the galaxy. They don't send distress signals." But the signal was real, and it was weak, like someone was trying to speak through dust and darkness. Mira cleaned the signal. Bit by bit, the static cleared. Then a voice came through, broken, shaky, full of fear. "This is Admiral Vorth of the Draconian flagship. We are under attack. Unknown enemy. No, not ships. Something else. They are not what we thought. They..." Signal cuts out. The room went silent. Kyle stared at the screen. "Did he say, not ships? What does that mean?" Mira tried to track the signal. "It came from sector E47, but that space is empty." They checked the fleet logs. The Draconian Fleet had entered that sector 2 days ago. 37 warships. Thousands of soldiers. Now, nothing. No reply. No second signal. Just silence. The station commander, Captain Darnell, was called in. He listened to the message twice, then gave the order, "Send this to Galactic Command immediately, and don't speak of it to anyone." 1 day later, across the stars, in a secret meeting chamber on Earth, the Galactic Council watched the signal. The leaders of different species sat in silence. The humans, the Varnak, the Yulari, even the cold-blooded Creel. Everyone feared the same thing. If the Draconian Fleet, the strongest force in the galaxy, could vanish like this, no one was safe. President Lara of Earth leaned forward. "We need answers. What happened in Sector E47? A tall figure stepped out from the shadows. Commander Reyna Holt, human, war hero, expert in deep space operations. She had once served with Admiral Vorth. He had trained her. Now he was gone. "I'll take a team," she said. "We'll find out what happened." "But that region is dark space," said one council member. "Unmapped. Dangerous." Reyna didn't flinch. "Exactly. That's why we need to go." 3 days later, Commander Reyna's ship, the Star Hunter, left orbit. Her team was small, 5 members, each one skilled. There was Dr. Aaron, the science officer, Zek, the alien pilot, Sergeant Malik, the weapons expert, and Kira, the comms and tech engineer. They all knew the risk. But curiosity and duty pushed them forward. As they neared Sector E47, strange things began to happen. The ship's lights flickered. Engines slowed down for no reason. And then, the stars disappeared. It was like entering a black sea. No light, no planets, no sound, just empty space. "Engines are fine," said Zek, checking the controls. "But something is draining our power." Dr. Aaron pointed to the scanner. "This space isn't empty. There's debris." On the main screen, small fragments floated by, twisted metal, broken panels, pieces of ships. Kira zoomed in. "That's Draconian tech, no doubt." But there were no burn marks, no signs of battle. Just perfectly cut metal, like something had taken the ships apart piece by piece. Reyna stood in silence. This wasn't war. This was something else. Then, the ship's alarm rang. "Commander," said Kira, "we're picking up a signal, and same frequency as the original distress call." Everyone turned to the speaker. A voice, soft, distant, and full of fear, whispered through the static. They're still here, watching us. Don't let them see you. Then silence again. Commander Reyna looked at her team. We're not turning back, she said. We came for answers, we're getting them. She looked out into the darkness where the remains of the fleet floated like ghosts, and deep in that silent space, something was watching back. The investigation begins. The silence was worse than noise. Commander Reyna Holt stood on the bridge of the Star Hunter, staring at the black void outside. It was like space itself had stopped breathing. No stars, no radio signals, just the broken remains of the Draconian Fleet, floating like bones in space. 37 warships, gone. Not a single distress beacon still active. Not a single survivor, and yet something was still here. We should turn back, Kira whispered. Her voice was barely above a breath. Something's wrong with this place. No, Reyna said firmly. We need answers. That's why we're here. She remembered Admiral Vorth's voice from the last message. They're not what we thought. That message haunted her. Vorth wasn't a man who feared easily. If he sounded terrified, then whatever happened here was beyond imagination. In the dark corner of the lab, Dr. Aaron worked quietly. Her scanners had been running since they entered Sector E47, but something was off. It's like the laws of physics are bent, she said. How do you mean? Reyna asked. Aaron turned, the screen toward her. These metal fragments, draconian steel, toughest alloy in the galaxy, but they've been cut at the atomic level. Not blasted, not melted, just erased. Erased? Reyna repeated. Like something passed through them that doesn't obey normal science. Zek, the alien pilot, spoke from the controls. Navigation. Systems are offline again. I can't even tell which way we're facing. Use manual thrusters, Reyna ordered. Zek hesitated. Commander, I think this place is moving. Reyna frowned. What? I mean the space around us. It's like the void is shifting. Dr. Aaron looked pale. That's impossible. Unless what? Reyna asked. Unless this entire area is not part of normal space. It could be a pocket, a trap, a false dimension. Suddenly, alarms blared. Kira jumped at her station. Commander, we're getting another signal. But this one, it's inside the ship. Everyone froze. What do you mean inside the ship? Reyna demanded. Kira looked terrified. The signal is being transmitted from the lower deck. Cargo Bay 3. Reyna grabbed her blaster. Malik, with me. They moved fast, weapons ready. The corridor to the cargo bay was dark, even though the power should be fine. The emergency lights blinked red. Each step echoed like footsteps in a tomb. As they reached the cargo bay, the doors hissed open. Inside, cold fog drifted across the floor. And then they saw it. A Draconian escape pod, half burnt. The surface covered in strange black veins like cracks in glass. How did this get here? Malik asked. No idea, Reyna whispered. It wasn't on our ship before. The pod door creaked open on its own. Inside, someone was alive. A Draconian cadet, barely 20, sat shaking. His armor was torn, his eyes wide with terror. He didn't even look up as they approached. Name and rank, Reyna said. The boy looked at her with empty eyes. Cadet Vel, flagship judicator. I was part of the engineering crew. What happened to your fleet? She asked. Vel's lips trembled. We found a station, not on the maps. It looked dead. No power, so we investigated. He swallowed hard. It wasn't dead. It was sleeping. What was sleeping? Vel looked at her like he was about to scream. The station wasn't a building, it was a creature. We stepped inside it. We walked on its skin. We were inside its brain. Reyna felt a chill down her spine. And the fleet? It woke up, Vel said, and it was hungry. Back on the bridge, Dr. Aaron ran scans on Vel. This black dust on his armor, she said. It's organic, but not from any known life form. It's like memory cells. Memory? Kira asked. Yes, Aaron replied. It stores information, emotions, faces. Reyna stepped in. What if that thing doesn't just kill? What if it learns from everything it eats? Suddenly, the ship lights flickered again. Kira yelled, Commander, we just lost the medical bay feed. Reyna turned to the screen. The camera view was static. Then it returned, and the med bay was empty. Vel was gone. Only his armor remained, floating in midair. And then, it melted into black dust. Reyna's voice was sharp. Full lockdown. We're not alone on this ship. Zek shouted from the helm. Something just passed us on the outside hull. No visual, but sensors show a massive shape, big as a city, moving fast. Reyna looked at the dark void on the main screen. Nothing but shadows. And yet, something was out, there. Something that had erased the strongest fleet in the galaxy. Now, it was inside her ship. Echoes in the void. The ship felt colder now. Not because of space. Not because of broken systems. It was something else. Something that watched. Something that waited. Commander Reyna Holt stood alone in the hallway outside the med bay. The place where the Draconian cadet Vel had disappeared. One moment alive, the next gone, no sign of a struggle, no scream. No trace except the black dust on the floor. She bent down and touched it. It stuck to her glove like ash, but it pulsed, like it was alive. Kira's voice crackled in through her earpiece. Commander, you need to come to the bridge. Something's wrong with the crew. Reyna rose and walked fast. She could feel the pressure in her chest like the walls were closing in. The deeper they went into Sector E-47, the more the ship seemed to turn against them. On the bridge, Zek, the alien pilot, was shaking. His eyes were locked onto the main screen, which showed nothing but blackness. Zek? Reyna asked, walking toward him. He didn't move. Reyna reached for him, then froze. His mouth was open, whispering. But the words were not his. They float, but they're not dead. They remember. They always remember. Reyna stepped back. Get him to the medbay. Kira checked the logs. Commander, we have a bigger problem. The ship's internal clocks are wrong. How wrong? 17 hours have passed since Vel disappeared. But for us, it's only felt like 2. Reyna's face went cold. We're losing time? Yes, Kira replied. Something's playing with our perception. With our minds. Dr. Aaron burst into the room. Her face pale, breathing fast. Commander, I checked the scans again. This area of space isn't just strange, it's alive. The readings match brainwave activity. Reyna narrowed her eyes. You mean we're inside something? Aaron nodded. Or it's inside us. Later that cycle, Sergeant Malik went to inspect the engines. He never came back. Reyna and Aaron found him an hour later, deep in the lower levels. Sitting on the floor, eyes open, unmoving. His weapon was gone. He had carved a message into the metal wall using his knife. Over and over, scratched in shaky lines. We are the story it tells itself, Reyna whispered the words to herself. What does that mean? Aaron answered with a trembling voice. Maybe this thing doesn't kill. Maybe it just rewrites people, like characters in a book. That night, the dreams began. Reyna saw flashes of the lost fleet, not in battle, but walking, single file, calm. They were walking into a giant black doorway, like a mouth in space. She saw Admiral Vorth at the front. He looked at her, smiled. You were always meant to follow me, he said. She woke up gasping for breath, and then she heard it, a voice in her room, a soft whisper, not through the speakers, inside her head. Come closer. Come closer. Remember who you are. She ran to the bridge. Kira and Zek were already there, wide-eyed, terrified. We all heard it, Kira said. Same voice, Same dream. Reyna made a decision. We need to go back to where the signal came from. The exact point. Maybe it left a trail. They followed the coordinates deeper into the nebula. As they moved forward, more ship fragments floated past. Helmet, a child's drawing in a crew quarters window, a photo of a Draconian family taped to a steel wall, silent memories drifting like ghosts. Then they found it, a massive object hidden in the gas clouds. It looked like a space station, but it wasn't made of metal. It pulsed, like a beating heart. Reyna whispered, "This isn't a ship, it's a body." Aaron's voice shook. "It's alive, but not in a way we understand." And then, it opened. The structure split at the center, revealing a hollow corridor lined with something that looked like bones. Inside were human bodies. Not dead, just standing, frozen, eyes open, silent. One of them turned its head slowly. Reyna stepped back. It was Malik, but he was still on their ship, or had been? Suddenly, alarms exploded across the control panel. "Something's boarding us," Kira shouted. "But there's no ship, just shadows." Reyna grabbed her blaster. "We split up. Find where they're entering." But deep down, she already knew. They didn't enter the ship. The ship entered them. As she ran through the corridor, she heard her name whispered in the dark. "Reyna. Reyna Holt. You don't belong to them. You belong to me." She turned, and standing there in full uniform was Admiral Vorth. But he had no eyes, only black stars where his face used to be. He smiled. The survivor. The ship was no longer silent. It breathed. A low hum filled the walls of the Star Hunter like the sound of distant thunder rumbling through bones. Commander Reyna Holt walked the lower halls, blaster drawn, but she wasn't looking for enemies anymore. She was listening, for whispers, for memories, for the entity. They had seen it, or part of it, a structure that looked like a space station but was organic, alive, and ancient beyond comprehension. A hollow beast made of darkness and dead voices. They had seen Malik standing inside it, though he was still on the ship. But was he? On the bridge, Kira sat frozen at her console. Her hands trembled over the controls. "There's a new signal," she said. "It's different, clear, no static." Reyna appeared beside her. The signal was a message, a voice, calm, measured. "My name is Lieutenant Darius Chen, First Officer of the Draconian Ship Vigilance. I am alive. I escaped, but not all of me." They traced the signal. It was coming from a small moon, hidden behind the nebula's swirling mass, cloaked by the strange energy field. No ships had ever landed there. No records existed of it, at all. Reyna made a choice. "We're going." They landed on the surface at dusk. The sky was black with a green aurora swirling above like something watching from orbit. As they stepped onto the rocky soil, their boots crunched over glass shards, remains of old machinery. It looked like a camp once existed here, but had long been swallowed by time and rot. Zek pointed ahead. "There, inside that cave." Reyna led the way, her light cutting through the darkness. They found him deep inside, wrapped in a faded thermal blanket next to a dead fire. He looked human, but only at first glance. Half of his skin was gray and cracked like dry earth. His right eye glowed faintly blue. Not like cybernetics, more like something borrowed. "Lieutenant Chen?" Reyna asked. He looked up slowly. His eyes were full of knowledge and fear. "You're real," he said. "You made it this far. That's dangerous." They brought him back to the ship. Dr. Aaron scanned him. "This is impossible," she said. "His body is absorbing radiation that should kill a human in seconds. He's not stable, but he's still alive." Chen laughed softly. "I'm not entirely human anymore. It took parts of us and gave something back." Reyna sat across from him. "Tell us what happened to the fleet. Chen nodded, but his eyes drifted, like his mind had to swim through memories that weren't all his. We were exploring the sector, mapping the edge of the void. Then we found it. A drifting station with no life signs. It had architecture we didn't recognize, smooth, curved, like bone, not metal. We docked, entered, and that was the last moment I was truly me. He paused, then looked straight at her. It's not a ship. It's not alive in the way we understand. It's a collector. Reyna frowned. Collector of what? Of stories, of experiences. It doesn't destroy fleets, it records them, rewrites them, absorbs them into itself. It makes them part of its memory. That's why you hear voices, why you dream other people's dreams. It's showing you its collection. Reyna's heart pounded. So the fleet isn't dead? Chen shook his head. They're not alive either. They're stored, Kira whispered from the corner. Like data in a computer. Chen nodded. But living. It doesn't want your ship, it wants your mind. Suddenly the lights flickered. Reyna stood. What is it? Chen stood too. It's listening. Through me. His face twisted in pain. His voice changed, deeper, echoed. You shouldn't have come closer. Zek backed away. Commander, he's changing. Reyna raised her weapon. Stand down, Chen. But it wasn't Chen anymore. The thing inside him spoke through his mouth. She is the one it wants. She remembers him. She is the story it needs to complete. Reyna fired a stun blast. Chen collapsed to the floor, unconscious. Kira ran diagnostics. Whatever it is, was using him as a signal relay. That's how it reached us. Reyna stared at the body of the man who had once been Chen, then whispered, I knew Admiral Vorth. It must have seen that in me. That's why it wants me. Later that cycle, Reyna sat in her quarters. She played Vorth's last message again. They are not what we thought. She paused the recording. Something was wrong. She played it backward. We became what they needed. Reyna's hands went cold. The message had been encoded in both directions. Forward was a warning. Backward was a confession. They didn't just find the entity. They joined it. She returned to the bridge. We're leaving, she ordered. But the screen showed no stars. Only a mirror. Their ship, floating directly in front of them. Same damage, same crew, same signal. Zek gasped. That's us? Dr. Aaron whispered. Or a version of us that didn't escape. Reyna felt her heartbeat slow. We're already inside the story. The forbidden truth. The Star Hunter floated in silence. Not dead, but lost. Commander Reyna Holt stood at the main viewport, staring at the impossible. A second version of their own ship, drifting directly in front of them. Identical in every way. Even the same serial number on the hull, as if the universe had copied them. Is it a reflection? Kira asked quietly. No, Dr. Aaron replied. There's no light here, no stars, no surface. It's not bouncing an image back to us. Then, what is it? Zek whispered. Reyna said only one word, proof. They ran scans on the duplicate ship. The results chilled them. Same mass, same structure, same crew biosigns. 6 human life signatures, including Reyna Holt. They're alive, Kira said, confused. Whoever they are, they're breathing. Or being kept alive, Aaron corrected. Like the others. Zek added. This isn't just a trap. It's a loop. It's creating versions of us, testing different outcomes. Reyna's voice dropped. We're part of a repeating pattern. Aaron looked at her. And maybe we're not the first. Reyna gave the order. Search the restricted archives. Kira hesitated. Commander, that's against protocol. Only high-level council has access. Reyna stared at her. The council doesn't know what we're facing. Or worse, they do. Kira paused, then nodded. She hacked through security. Old files. Very old. Hidden beneath layers of encryption. Project name, Valzar Protocol. Aaron's eyes widened. That name, I've seen it before. Zek leaned in. That's the name the survivor said, in his dreams. Kira opened the main file. It was a classified mission report over 12,000 years old. Mission log, Expedition Eero 9, year 3085 Galactic Era. Commander, Juro Ral, Ulari Dominion Fleet Sector, E-47, formerly uncharted. Mission, investigate signal from unknown structure. Presumed derelict images appeared on screen. Grainy footage. An ancient crew entering a black bone-like structure. Symbols written on walls. Lights pulsing like heartbeats. Then, silence. Then static. Then, a final frame. Commander Real, facing the camera, eyes wide, face torn in fear. We found it. It's not a ship. It's not a god. It's a machine made to store what it devours. Not just bodies. Civilizations. They called it the Valzar, a name from long before even our histories began. If you hear this, burn this sector. Do not return, we are already inside it. The video ended. Silence filled the bridge. Reyna looked at the others. The council knew. They buried this, Aaron whispered. They didn't bury it to protect us. They buried it to hide their guilt. Zek brought up another file. This one was worse. It wasn't just about the Valzar. It was about its creators, an ancient race unknown, never named, never described. The only word ever found associated with them, scribes. They didn't conquer worlds. They collected them. The Valzar was a tool, a device built to record and contain the minds of entire species. A weapon made not of warheads, but of memory. Reyna sat back, breath caught in her throat. They didn't want power, they wanted stories. Kira added, they erased entire star systems, so no one could tell those stories again. Only they could. Reyna spoke, softly. They weren't just collecting, they were editing the galaxy. The duplicate ship outside moved. Its engines lit up and faintly, and it turned, heading back toward the black structure. Should we follow? Zek asked. Reyna didn't answer right away. Then she said, no, it's not taking us there. Aaron looked at her. Then what? Reyna stood. It's showing us what happens next if we don't stop this. Suddenly the lights dimmed again. Kira's console went black. Then a new file opened on its own, no title. Just an audio log. A voice played. Deep, slow, familiar. It was Admiral Vorth. If you're hearing this, you've gone too far. There is no mission. There is no escape. You are already inside the book. Every choice you make is just another page. Every crew that came before you thought they were different. They weren't. Neither are you. Reyna stared at the speakers. How did he record this? There was no time. Aaron replied, he didn't. Zek looked up. Then who did? Kira's voice cracked. The thing inside him. Later, that night Reyna returned to her quarters. She turned off the lights, but the stars outside weren't stars anymore. They were eyes. Watching. Blinking slowly. One by one. A message appeared on her terminal. Come to the core. Your story is not complete. She stared at the screen, and then whispered, it knows my name. The trap, the plan was simple and dangerous. Commander Reyna Holt stood in the center of the Star Hunters briefing room, surrounded by her exhausted, half-broken crew. Maps flickered on the hologram table. Strange gravitational patterns moved across the screen, the living structure that had swallowed the Draconian Fleet. We lure it out, Reyna said. We give it what it wants. Kira looked up. And what is that exactly? Reyna stared at the ghost ship still visible outside their window, their duplicate still drifting toward the entity. Me, she said. They had studied the patterns. Every ship, every mind the Valzar had taken had a central figure, a leader, a narrator, a soul. It didn't just absorb people. It followed protagonists. It needed someone to anchor the story. A character who connected the others, whose perspective made the memory whole. And in this version, It was Reyna. That's why it whispered. Her name. Why it sent messages through Admiral Vorth. Why it showed her the truth. Because it was building her story. The crew wired a core chamber inside the ship, filled with ancient tech, volatile energy cells, and a quantum memory trap designed by Dr. Aaron. If it tries to extract her thoughts, Aaron said, this trap will overload and collapse the memory stream, maybe even damage the Valzar itself. Zek added, if it doesn't just rewrite us all before that. Silence. Reyna stepped forward. It's a risk I'll take. Kira clenched her fists. You're talking like this is already over. Reyna gave a tired smile. No, I'm talking like I still have one move left. They launched a beacon from the ship. A message, on the same frequency as the Draconian distress signal. I'm ready. Come for me. Write your final chapter. Then they waited. 1 hour passed. Then 2. Nothing. Then, without warning, the stars disappeared. The sky outside turned completely black. Not dark, empty. Even the sensors went blind. The ship shook violently. Lights flickered. Doors slammed open and closed. Then they saw it. The Valzar was no longer distant. It was wrapped around them, not just physically, but psychically. Kira fell to her knees, screaming. It's inside my head. Zek clutched the wall. I see my mother, my home planet. They're talking to me. Reyna grabbed her helmet and sprinted to the trap chamber. Voices echoed all around her. The hallways twisted. Memories weren't hers anymore. She saw herself as a child, watching the stars. She saw herself as a soldier, as a corpse. The entity was already writing her ending. She stepped into the core and sealed the door. Begin the trap, she said. Inside, the chamber was filled with floating memory crystals, streaming blue light, spinning faster as her thoughts were drawn into the system. The Valzar responded instantly. It entered, not as a voice, not as a shadow, but as a presence. It took shape and in her mind, as Admiral Vorth once again. You never wanted to know the truth, it said with his smile. You just wanted a clean ending. Reyna gritted her teeth. You feed on people, on history, that ends now. I don't feed, it said calmly. I preserve. Without me, your species is dust, forgotten. I am memory. I am story. And you are beautiful. The trap activated, a pulse shot through the room. Pain stabbed through Reyna's skull. The creature screamed, a deep, unholy sound that echoed through metal, through thought. For a second, the Valzar recoiled. It lost grip. The stars blinked back into view. Zek shouted over the comms. Commander, you did it. It's pulling back. But then, something changed. The trap stopped glowing. And then, laughed. Not a voice. The trap laughed. Did you think this was your story? It whispered. I wrote the trap, I wrote your plan, I wrote the fear, you just filled in the words. The chamber's energy backfired. Kira screamed on the bridge. Commander, abort the trap, it's reversing, Reyna gasped. The memory stream was now pulling from the entire ship. Dr. Aaron collapsed. Zek began mumbling words from languages he didn't speak. The walls pulsed. The entity wasn't being damaged. It was learning. It let them try. It let them fight. Because it wanted to see how their story ends. Reyna reached for her emergency override. But the room changed. It was no longer metal. She stood in a field. Grass underfoot, blue sky overhead, birds chirping, home, earth, a voice behind her. Why do you fight? Asked a small girl. Reyna turned. It was herself at age 10. You're tired, the child said. Just sleep. Let it remember you. Tears filled Reyna's eyes. Because it was perfect. Too perfect. I don't belong in a memory, she whispered. I belong in the fight. She drew her sidearm and fired it into the ground. The illusion shattered. She woke up in the burning trap chamber. Sparks flying. She crawled to the console, her body shaking. One final command. Purge all memory systems. Erase my mind. Remove the narrative anchor. Without me, she whispered, you'll have no story. She hit the key and blacked out. The ship drifted in silence. Then, stars returned. Kira woke first. Zek followed. Dr. Aaron groaned, holding her head. The creature was gone, or maybe... Paused. Reyna lay in the med bay, alive, but her eyes didn't recognize them. Who are you? She asked. She remembered nothing. Not the ship, not the entity, not even herself. The trap had worked. The story was broken. For now. The final message. She didn't remember her name. Not her crew. Not the stars outside. Commander Reyna Holt sat in the med bay of the Star Hunter, staring at her reflection. The woman looking back at her had fire in her eyes, but no memory of why. Her thoughts were a blank page, quiet, cold, disconnected. The others called her Reyna. She didn't know who that was. Outside, the crew drifted in silence. Kira stayed near the control deck, going over sensor data again and again, hoping the readings would change, that the entity was truly gone. It wasn't. Zek sat at navigation, watching the same corner of space, a corner that shouldn't exist, because space itself had bent. Dr. Aaron refused to sleep. She ran scan after scan, tracking the lingering pulse of the Valzar. The entity had retreated, but not vanished, not defeated, just waiting. Aaron approached Reyna. You saved us, she said. Reyna stared blankly. How? You gave up your mind, Aaron replied. You broke the chain. It couldn't feed anymore. It lost its anchor. You disrupted its loop. Reyna was quiet. But if I don't remember, then how do I know who I am now? Aaron sat beside her. You don't. But maybe you get to decide. The ship's AI chirped suddenly. A signal was playing, but no one had activated it. The crew gathered around. It was a video, logged exactly 2 minutes before Reyna erased her memory. On screen, Reyna looked into the camera, strong, calm, eyes sharp with purpose. This message is for Earth, for the Galactic Council, for anyone who still believes the stars are safe. There is a creature in Sector E47, but it's not a creature. It's a machine, a mind, a trap, a story that never ends. It doesn't want war. It doesn't want peace, it wants meaning. It wants us. She looked away from the camera, then back. This thing has been here long before we ever walked the stars. It's not just ancient. It's deliberate. It was built, engineered, not by gods, not by monsters, but by a civilization that wanted to control the future by owning the past. The scribes, Aaron whispered. She remembered. Reyna's message continued. The Valzar doesn't destroy. It collects. It stores the most powerful thing in the galaxy. Story. It preserves not who we are, but who we think we are. And if we let it, it will decide that for us. The image glitched and resumed with Reyna holding a memory chip. I'm erasing myself, so it cannot complete the story. No ending, no closure, just a blank page. This chip holds what I've seen, what I know. You must send it back to Earth. Tell them not to hide it. Not this time. She leaned closer. We lost the Draconian Fleet, and we almost lost ourselves. But maybe, just maybe, we still have one thing it can never rewrite. She paused. The truth. The screen went dark. Zek leaned forward. That message. Kira nodded. We broadcast it to the entire human net. No codes, no filters, unedited. Aaron looked toward the medbay. What if the council buries it again? Zek asked. Kira stared at him. Then we'll make sure someone else tells it. Back in her room, Reyna sat quietly, listening to her own voice from the recording. She didn't remember saying any of it, but a part of her believed it suddenly. A whisper crept into her thoughts, but not the voice of the Valzar. Her own. I am not what they made me. I am what I choose to become. She stood, walked to the mirror, and for the first time since the purge, she whispered her name. Reyna. It didn't sound like a question anymore. Epilogue. 1 year later, the message went viral across the galaxy. Millions watched. Millions debated. Some called it a hoax. Some called it prophecy, but others believed. Whispers of the Valzar spread. Explorers avoided E-47. Old files were unsealed. The names scribes returned to galactic memory. On Earth, a young archivist opened the sealed vaults and found drawings, diagrams of a black skeletal station, matching the crew's footage. It was drawn 6,000 years before humans discovered FTL travel. Someone had seen it before. Someone had survived. Again. Meanwhile, far beyond known space, a dark shape stirred. It had no eyes, no bones, no hunger, just silence and stories, still waiting to be told.